This is not a V8, but it beat Corvettes in the 80s, and it's blacker than anything you've ever seen. In a world where muscle cars were supposed to roar, scream, and shake the ground, one machine arrived in silence. No chrome, no bright paint, no warning, just black, total black. This is the story of the 1986 Buick Grand National, a car that didn't just break the rules, it ignored them completely. It was the mid-1980s. The muscle car era had already been declared dead. Fuel crises, emissions laws, and changing times had pushed American performance into retirement. V8 legends were fading, replaced by softer, slower machines. But Buick had a secret, and that secret was turbocharged. Under the hood of the Grand National sat a 3.8-liter V6 engine, not a massive V8, not a screaming big block, just a compact, highly boosted turbocharged motor that looked almost ordinary. But it wasn't, because when boost kicked in, everything changed. In 1986, Buick refined the formula even further. They added an intercooler, a crucial upgrade that cooled the compressed air, making the engine stronger, more consistent, and more aggressive under pressure. The result? Around 235 horsepower. But numbers don't tell the full story, because this car wasn't about peak horsepower, it was about torque. Massive, instant, tire-shredding torque delivered with brutal mid-range acceleration. And in a world where most sports cars struggled to break into the 14-second quarter mile, the Grand National was already knocking on the 13's stock. But what truly made it dangerous was the disguise. You see, the Grand National didn't look fast. It looked like a government fleet car, a blacked-out Buick Regal. Quiet, simple, almost boring. That was the point. No spoilers screaming for attention. No racing stripes, no chrome flash, just stealth, a sleeper in the purest form. And that's why it became a legend. Owners quickly discovered something incredible. This car embarrassed expensive European sports cars and even Corvettes under the right conditions. Imagine pulling up next to something twice the price and leaving it behind in total silence. No drama, just boost. The transmission was a 3-speed automatic, tough, reliable, and built to handle torque rather than chase speed through gears. It wasn't about refinement, it was about force. When the turbo spooled, there was a brief moment, a pause, a breath, and then it hit hard. The rear tires would fight for grip, the chassis would squat, and the black Buick would launch forward like it had something to prove. Inside, the cabin stayed surprisingly calm. Bench or bucket seats, analog gauges, no modern distractions, just a driver, a steering wheel, and a boost gauge that felt more like a warning than an instrument. This wasn't a car you revved. It was a car you unleashed. The 1986 model year is especially important because it represents the sweet spot in Grand National development. Refined turbo tuning, improved reliability, and the foundation for what would become the legendary 1987 GNX. But the 86 stands on its own. It's rawer, less polished, more connected to the street. And today, collectors recognize it not just as a classic, but as a turning point in American performance history. Because while the world was chasing horsepower numbers on paper, Buick was quietly building something more dangerous. Real-world acceleration, the kind that matters when the light turns green, the kind that doesn't announce itself, the kind that surprises everyone. Even now, decades later, the Grand National still feels like a threat standing still, and that's why it hasn't disappeared into history. It has become legend, a black shadow from the 80s that still haunts modern performance cars. A reminder that sometimes the fastest thing on the road is the one you never saw coming.